Chupacabras are vicious, known for ripping out the throats of livestock and draining out their blood. These vampiric goat suckers have been accused of running rampant across the farms of the Americas. But the real scientific explanation of Chupacabras might be even creepier than the legend. Most of the monsters we talk about today are drawn from old legends, but the Chupacabra doesn't have very deep roots at all, despite its popularity.
It's an interest that is sparked all over the world. It amazes me.
Though an old New York Times article refers to strange livestock attacks that took place in the 1970s, it wasn't until 1995 that supposed Chupacabra sightings really became a thing, and it all started in Puerto Rico.
Madeline Tolentino was woken from an early afternoon nap by her mother, who was talking excitedly about seeing something strange.
Tolentino claims she looked out the window and saw a truly horrifying sight. In an interview with Alibi, she described a ghastly creature that was 3 feet tall, bipedal, and humanoid. It reportedly had long, slender fingers and no genitals.
Greetings, I am a Chupacabras.
Tolentino's sighting made the local TV news, and the story went viral across Puerto Rico.
This man says it was as tall as he was, with red eyes and 4 fangs.
According to Animal Planet, hundreds of livestock were slaughtered in the area. The problem got so bad that Mayor Jose Quimo Soto spent the next year hunting for Chupacabras with an armed militia week after week. Spoiler alert, they never found anything. Alleged Chupacabra attacks and sightings migrated across the island, along with lots of mass-murdered chickens, sheep, guinea pigs, and even a cat whose genitalia was removed. The local issue soon spread to the mainland, and a new legend was born.
In the last couple of months, there have been numerous reportings of something attacking pets and chasing people throughout the neighborhood. Some residents believe it could be El Chupacabra.
Here's one particularly bizarre thing about the Chupacabra. There are basically 2 versions, and they both have a taste for blood. Most of the early Chupacabra sightings closely line up with Tolentino's description of a humanoid reptilian. Early believers tended to think of the Chupacabra as an alien life form, an abomination, maybe even a demonic entity. But these days, when you hear Chupacabra, you probably picture a lanky, sharp-toothed canine, which tends to walk on 4 legs and is usually hairless, but not scaly.
While cruising for troublemakers, the deputies come across what they think could be the legendary Chupacabra.
I've been patrolling these back roads for a long time, and I've never run across anything like this until that day.
As time went on, the idea of a humanoid reptile fell by the wayside, and more people came to believe that the Chupacabra was simply an as-yet undiscovered animal. As BBC News explains, the concept of these dog-like Chupacabras seems to have replaced the original bipedal creature sometime in the 2000s, probably right as the stories were gaining more popularity.
Well, it's something strange, so I'm going to get my rifle and shoot it and get a close look, you know.
Let's presume for a moment that the Chupacabra is real and not just some misidentified wild animal. If so, what is it? Where did it come from? Some of the theories about the Chupacabra's origins are seriously wild. According to the Center for Inquiry, one theory claims that Chupacabra is an alien creature dropped on Earth, while some people believe it's the result of some weird science experiment by NASA. Who knows why NASA would be genetically engineering blood-sucking monsters? According to Animal Planet, the NASA notion grew popular enough that NASA spokesman Brian Welsh was forced to publicly deny the theory. Before this, it was the face on Mars, and before that, it was modifying the weather. The bizarre origin stories didn't end there. Some people claim that the Chilean military discovered Chupacabra eggs, and Chupacabra expert Benjamin Radford has discussed how Hurricane Hugo is often tied to the goat sucker's supposed escape. Probably the weirdest theory, as described by ABC, is the belief that HIV and AIDS were caused by the Chupacabra's vampiric tendencies.
Well, sightings of the legendary beast have been reported across the globe. And the name can literally be translated as goat sucker in Spanish.
Say what? You may not have known that the word Chupacabra means goat sucker in Spanish, but it's 100% true, and the term refers to the creature's supposed habit of sucking blood out of livestock. However, because the Chupacabra wasn't even recognized as a creature, real or fake, until the 1995 incidents in Puerto Rico, its name is a modern invention. Oddly enough, the name Chupacabra might have been coined by Puerto Rican comedian Silverio Perez. Not everyone was thrilled by the ghastly name either. UFO investigator Jorge Martin pushed for the creature to be named Ibas, a Spanish acronym meaning alien biological entities. Unfortunately, acronyms are never as catchy as a good horror movie-style label, so Chupacabra won the battle. Rather amusingly, it seems like the name Chupacabra actually predated the violent sightings. ABC News says the term appeared in a 1960 episode of Bonanza, though it was used in reference to a type of bird that supposedly sucked milk from nursing mama goats. Not quite so creepy as the Chupacabra everyone knows today. In 2007, a Texas nutritionist named Phyllis Canyon was allegedly suffering from a serious case of the Chupacabras.
I have a bizarre animal that's on our ranch, and we can't figure out what it is. We have an idea.
Despite her best efforts, Canyon's ranch kept getting raided by an unseen predator that killed 28 of her chickens, ripping out their throats. Sound familiar? One day, Canyon stumbled upon a profoundly weird dog-like corpse on the side of the road.
The first time that I saw it, I was very perplexed.
The dog's body had tough, hairless blue skin, steel blue eyes, only 3 toes on each foot, and a pronounced overbite. The Texas rancher was pretty sure she'd just discovered a Chupacabra, so she brought the Texas blue dog home, had it stuffed by a taxidermist, and now keeps it in her living room. She also tested it, and according to Canyon, the so-called blue dog seemed to be the hybrid of a coyote and a Mexican wolf. An array of similar-looking Texas blue dogs started popping up around the state.
Sharp, savage teeth, hairless, gray skin, and a human-like fist.
It was like a shaved weenie dog with raccoon feet, a possum tail, and a possum head.
It had red eyes, big old fangs hanging down there, claws coming out through 3 inches long, just sharp as they could be.
Long, pointy ears, long tail, had no skin, or no fur rather, but on its skin you could see spotches.
But not so fast. A local Houston news station asked animal control expert Claude Griffin about the matter, and Griffin said that people in the area were inbreeding different types of canine for the sheer purpose of letting them go, catching them, and claiming they'd found a Chupacabra.
So they are practicing the perfection of inbreeding.
So yes, the blue dogs were real, and yes, they were canines. But here's the interesting thing. Just because these animals were canines, it doesn't mean they were also Chupacabras. Ever heard of scabies? Also known as the 7-year itch, it's caused by little flesh-eating mites. It sucks to have scabies as a human being, but it's even worse for canines. When the mites get under a dog or coyote's skin, they cause a condition called mange, which is not only intensely itchy for the poor pups, but also causes severe hair loss and eventually kills them. Horrifying stuff. And as if the scabies mites weren't horrible enough, research has determined they're also most likely the real cause of all this Chupacabra business.
Biologists say the pictures are, well, something less than mythical, rather a coyote with a bad case of mange.
That's right. It's extremely likely that these real-life Chupacabras are coyotes who suffered from severe cases of mange and started preying on livestock. How is this confirmed? Because anytime a dead Chupacabra pops up after a rash of farm killings, tests show that these weird-looking creatures are indeed canines with mange. It's surprisingly depressing, but it makes a lot of sense. But wait, why would coyotes want to rip the throats out of chickens and drink their blood? Well, for one, all that vampire stuff is an exaggeration. Live science explains that whenever Chupacabra victims are autopsied, there's always plenty of blood left in the body. As for all that throat ripping, the Texas Natural Resources server explains that the attack isn't a particularly unusual behavior in predatory mammals. So yeah, Chupacabras are real, they just aren't their own species. We're sure it's really fun to sit around and share Bigfoot stories with your friends, but those conversations probably get ruined by that one skeptic who asks, if that creature is real, why isn't there any solid evidence, dead bodies, stool samples? That's one thing that makes Chupacabras so unique. Evidence pops up all the time. Even though dead Chupacabras invariably wind up being coyotes with mange, the sheer regularity in which they appear and are labeled as Chupacabras makes them unique. For example, there was this news report from Mississippi in 2013.
Hugh Harrell says he shot the mysterious creature in a chicken coop last night. Says he saw glowing red eyes in the hay, and then it moved into attack.
And there's this 2010 story from Texas.
A hairless dead animal with odd limbs and feet and sharp teeth. Could this be the legendary Chupacabra?
Here's another one, also from 2010 and also in Texas.
20 dead chickens one morning, 10 more the next day, and not a drop of blood anywhere in Robert Garcia's chicken coop.
Finally, this 2011 story, also from Texas.
It was certified Chupacabra all the way, and that's good enough for me.
There are dozens of authentic news stories about these mysterious creatures. These days, canines with mange are often just reflexively referred to as chupacabras, sort of like how Google and Xerox became verbs, or how some people just call all tablets iPads. But in all this modern chupacabra hoopla, there's just one piece of the puzzle that's unresolved. Whatever happened to the original reptilian bipedal chupacabra? The world will never know if the original chupacabra sightings were real, but if they were, that 3-foot humanoid creature with the spines and red eyes probably wasn't a canine. What could it have been? Speaking to National Geographic, famed cryptozoologist Lauren Coleman points out that the reptilian, spiny-backed descriptions from those early sightings sound eerily similar to the monster in Species, that sci-fi horror film starring Natasha Henstridge as a sex-crazed alien. What makes this significant is that Species opened in Puerto Rico right before the Chupacabra incident started, and could have easily informed people's imagination. But what if Madeline Tolentino really did see some ominous red-eyed creature out there in the great beyond? Coleman has an explanation for that too, claiming that a number of rhesus monkeys were being experimented on in Puerto Rico at that time. Perhaps a few of them escaped. It sounds weird, but if you close your eyes and imagine one of these monkeys scampering around at night, it kind of makes sense, right? Whether you believe in the original Chupacabra or not, some of the more recent sightings have resembled the old-school monster more than the canine version. For example, various media outlets shared a purported video of a bipedal Chupacabra walking through Portugal. So perhaps don't give up hope on this horrific, shambling monstrosity just yet.
Couple claims they've captured the elusive Chupacabra.
In 2014, The Independent reported that Bubba and Jackie Stock of Ratcliffe, Texas, had captured what they described as a baby Chupacabra walking through their yard. And they were keeping it on their property in a cage, supplying food and water.
He called me to come and look, and I said, Bubba, that looks like a baby Chupacabra.
Their neighbor, Arlen Parma, concurred with the couple's assessment.
20 years with dogs and all that, and I ain't never seen nothing look like that right there.
To answer your first question, yes, the animal was real, as photo, video evidence proves. As for your second question, no, it wasn't some mythical beast. According to the experts, this was once again a case of a fox, dog, or coyote afflicted with severe mange. Anyhow, the couple wasn't sure what to do with the animal, but they did name it Chupie. Eventually, animal rights groups began protesting their decision to keep it in a cage. Sadly, The Independent followed up on the story a few days later to report that Chupie's painful scabious condition had greatly worsened to the point where the stock couple had decided to euthanize the poor animal based on the advice of a local game warden. Just as the urban legend of the Chupacabra was probably influenced by science fiction and horror films, the creature itself has gone on to inspire its own wave of films and TV shows. For example, there have been a number of schlocky B movies featuring the infamous goatsucker, including the unfortunate 2005 film Chupacabra Terror. And there's the equally unwatchable Chupacabra vs. the Alamo, a 2013 cinematic calamity that features a pack of badly animated CGI Chupacabras swarming a bunch of people holed up in the Alamo. The X-Files, of course, tackled the myth in their own way.
Turn around like a man! No soy un hombre! Soy a Chupacabra!
South Park spoofed the myth of the Chupacabra, as did Scooby-Doo. If you ever visit Asheville, North Carolina, you can stop by a Latin cafe named Chupacabra. There isn't any goat blood on the menu, but they do serve goat cheese. Because of all the media attention, the Chupacabra has become almost as recognized by the general public as old standbys like Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster, which is no easy feat. Great job, Chupacabra! Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more grunge videos about your favorite stuff are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.